Joining us now is Okpe, just fresh back from London.
Yeah.
With stories trending around the world. Welcome back to Nigeria.
Thank you, Dr. Abati. How are you?
So you enjoyed yourself?
Did you miss me?
Excellent work, yeah?
Thank you.
We saw you on TV.
It was a lot of
Excellent
work.
work.
You did a great job. Thank you, Tundu.
Well.
I missed you guys. How are you?
Great, thank you.
You look lovely.
Thank you, so do you.
Thank you.
Rufai is waiting on. He's excited. See
Yes.
you.
No, he was dancing this morning, Rufai.
I miss you so much. You know, the word pepper them starts with a P. So,
yes, we all know that.
Doctor, but he knows the second word that starts with a P. I will not
No,
say it.
not on television.
Rufai.
Not on television,
How many
Rufai.
times did I call you, Rufai?
Oh, I hope our viewers don't know what we're talking about. Rufai, you look great, really.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you.
All
I'm
right.
grateful. Thank you.
Great. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending in Nigeria. Reactions have been trailing the ban by the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, on operatives of the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad and other tactical squads of the police force carrying out routine patrols and other conventional low-risk duties, including stop and search, as well as mounting of roadblocks. The IGP ordered that no personnel of the force is authorized to embark on patrols or tactical assignments without uniforms and must at all times appear in approved tactical gear. The IGP also warned against the invasion of the privacy of citizens, particularly through the indiscriminate and unauthorized search of mobile phones, laptops, as well as other smart devices. Following the announcement, Nigerians, including celebrities and influencers on social media, reignited the hashtag FSARS. Let's take some tweets. Well, civil rights campaigner, who you guys just spoke with, Segun Awosonya, tweeted, "We never advocated for reform SARS. We want them scrapped. Romanticizing the problem gets people killed. All the tactical squads should be shut down for holistic overhaul. What was done now only returned us to where we were after 2017. Hashtag EndSARS protest. The same thing the IGP repealed." Activist Omoyele Sowore wrote, "Please do not fall for the government's pranks. Don't fall for promises to reform SARS. EndSARS is the only way forward. All the officers in SARS who've killed, maimed, or extorted Nigerians must be openly tried in a court of law, and Nigeria must set up compensation for victims. Hashtag Revolution Now." Well, a video of a chase which sparked outrage over the weekend was posted by a user named Somto Okonkwo, who alleged that the young man was shot dead in broad daylight by SARS officers at Ughelli, Delta State. The user claimed that after the police killed the young man, they stole his car and left his body on the roadside. Well, let's take a look at that video.
Follow them, so they
Follow them, oh.
They run.
Did I kill the boy, oh? Save that Augele.
Save that Augele. See them.
009.
009.
For front of
Wetland.
Wetland Hotel. See the motor, see the
Lexus,
Lexus, oh.
see the Lexus.
Now the boy get this Lexus, oh. You know they see, huh? See them, oh. They don't kill the boy, oh. The boy they road, oh. See them, oh. See them, oh. The boy don't die, oh. Who get that Lexus when they front don't die, oh.
Well, that video sparked a lot of outrage on social media. Everyone just thought that the young man was dead. But apparently, the Minister for State Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, tweeted yesterday and said that he was in contact with the victim's brother and that the victim was in the hospital. He also shared a photo of the victim lying in the hospital. So thank God that the victim is alive. But this conversation has to continue. We have to thank the IGP for banning all of those things, but that's not the solution at all. It is for us to end SARS. This is so outrageous. These officers do not need to be on the streets at all. There's so many other videos to do. I saw a video yesterday of these officers shooting, civilians. You could see that they were just not doing anything, and they were being shot dead. This is really, really horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible situation.
Yes, this particular video that was posted by Sumter Okonkwo, the police force have given their side of the story. And their side of the story was that they were discharging their duties in a lawful manner. They made an arrest because there was some suspicious activity by the driver and passenger in this SUV, and it tallied with a previous kidnap that they had foiled. So they arrested these gentlemen and put them in the car with them and were driving off. And this gentleman either jumped or was pushed from the moving car, depending on whose account. But both sides of the story do say he was not shot and he's not dead. But you're completely right. Just because this particular story has been refuted does not mean that the problem does not exist. It does. There have been killings, there have been extortions. You'll recall another video that went viral recently of this gentleman in a Bolt car who alleged that the Bolt driver opened the door and let SARS operatives come into the car, and he was extorted 100,000 naira. This is the daily report that we get in Nigeria, and it really does have to end. This statement from the IGP, we all appreciate it, it's fine, but it's not enough. It's merely a first step, because it has to be codified such that when the IGP is replaced, we don't go back to square one, which is what has happened. That happened in 2017, we had all these measures. A new IGP came into power, and it was all reversed.
Well, in the statement that was issued over the weekend by Frank Mba, the police PRO, on behalf of the Inspector General of Police, there was some reference to what was called the standard operating procedure. What we have seen in Nigeria is that the police or even other agencies, security agencies, do not follow that standard operating procedure. Whatever that standard operating procedure is with regard to the police, it certainly does not accommodate extrajudicial killing. It certainly does not approve of police brutality. And what we have been seeing from the police consistently over the years is a police institution that is adversarial, that operates as an enemy of the people. A police institution that tells Nigerians that, the police is your friend, but that operates like it is out, to antagonize the people and punish them, whereas its constitutional responsibility is to protect the same people. So what happened in that Ugeli, there was no reference to it at length in the statement that was issued. We hope that apart from the steps that have been taken by the current Inspector General of Police, that particular incident, we hope that it will be investigated. And if indeed there has been a violation of the standard operating procedure that the police is boasting about, then those police officers should be brought to book. They should be punished. Yes. They should be sanctioned. They should be disciplined. And beyond all of that, I think when last we had this case, there was this footballer in Shagamu who was also a victim of this special anti-robbery squad, and he died in the process. We were told that policemen will be subjected to psychiatric evaluation. Which is very important. So I think that this point about assessing the mental state, the mental health of policemen is something perhaps that we need to take seriously, because we see increasingly policemen who seem, to have, a knot in their heads that has gone, that is unscrewed.
There's the pressure of the job, probably.
Yes, well, so we need to pay more attention to their mental health so that we don't have policemen who are just trigger happy, who will transform from being law enforcement officers into thieves. Seizing people's vehicles and making away.
What gives them the right to shoot innocent people at sight?
Yeah.
With those ones, it's not the pressure of the job. Yes. There's something fundamentally wrong with you.
So
if
that's
you kill
why
somebody
investigation is important. Yeah. And I think on our part, as members of civil society, we should remain vigilant.
Yes.
The Inspector General of Police has said there should be no policeman on the street that is wearing mufti. Now, there's nothing more confusing than seeing a policeman that is not in uniform and is trying to accost you and is trying to insist on his right to do his work. But you look at him, he has no identity card, he has no badge.
It's so scary.
That can be really scary. Yeah. And I hope that there will be, as Segun Awosanya pointed out when we had a conversation with him, opportunities for members of civil society to be able to report errant policemen. And that steps will be taken to discipline any policeman that in or out of uniform that behaves like a thug.
Yes, but you know, Rufai, that eyewitness video is confusing for me. You see that there was a chase. There was a police car in front of that vehicle, and then there was the alleged Lexus that belonged to the victim. So, I mean, what do you make of that? I mean, the story for me just doesn't match at this point.
I mean, it was confusing for everybody, I think, but because we know what SARS has been doing over the years. Even if the story might not be true, like Festus Keyamo said, and Festus Keyamo took particular interest because Festus Keyamo, if my memory serves me right, is from Ughelli.
Yes.
So this happened in Ughelli, and it took personal interest. Even if it might.
He's also from Ilaro.
Okay, so
his mom is from Ilaro.
Okay, so if this is the case, then it shows you to a large extent that you cannot exonerate what SARS has done over time. Okay, if you say, okay, this story is not the way it is told, let's look at what they've done over the years. Let's look at people that have been killed as a result of SARS. Let's look at young boys that are computer software developers, and software developers are bound to be rich. You know, if you're a very good software developer and you know your game, you can earn close to $100,000 a year in some crimes. Software developers that have been mistaken for Yahoo boys and they've been attacked by SARS. For me, it goes way back. There needs to be a total reform. Dr. But you talked about mental health, you know, of these police officers. Funny enough, today I think it was World Mental Health Day. But when you look at where these police officers are being trained, the police academies, I'm sorry to use this word, it looks like an asylum to me. Even if you look at the deplorable condition at which these police officers they are being trained, it is very, very pertinent. We did do something about their training. You don't expect the best from a police force that is not being trained properly. Nona Compton on a bell. You can't give what you don't have. So what we're expecting the Nigerian police to do is to give what it doesn't have. So when we are looking at this reform, it should be holistic. I had my own ordeal with the customs the other day, and it's across every, you know, paraphernalia of authority and force in this country. There is no proper training. A police officer accosts you on the road, there is no proper training. He doesn't even tell you your rights and things like that because they don't know these things. So we need to go back to how they are being trained. And I'm happy about the police bill. When it kicks in fully, something has to be done about their training first, then sensitization. Then afterwards, desanitizing the police force, because not all police officers are terrible. There are good eggs amongst us. There are wonderful police officers I've met. And you know, when a couple of people tell me that word police is your friend is a political statement, I say no. Some police officers are actually your friends. Some good ones. Yeah. It is the bad egg that will never and can never on earth be your friend. But some really do their job diligently. But really, if it's an institution, there has to be a pervasive standard operating procedure across board. The police officers that have said that are good eggs, it's not necessarily because of the training. It's their personal disposition to do good. Not everybody will have a personal disposition to do good. That's why we need to put institutions in place that ensure that they are trained properly and something needs to be done. And look at it. A National Daily said this has been banned 4 times. For me, to a large extent, except action is taken, I will just look at what was done before as regards SARS. We all call for the ban, we all say all sorts about SARS, and it goes back to the way it used to be before. Yes. And it's so painful. When you hear lion building, you start to get afraid in this country. What country are we building? I keep asking the question, do we want to leave this country to our generations yet unborn? Nigeria at 60. Nigeria will healthy.
All right, we'll take another story, still in Nigeria. The Kano State Police Command has arrested a woman who allegedly hacked her 2 biological children to death over a quarrel with her husband, who got married to a second wife. The police say the woman, Hawa Habibu, confessed to having locked up their house, used a machete and aluminum-made pistol to hack down her 6-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter. The woman was reported to also have wounded her 10-year-old nephew, who is currently receiving treatment at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital. The state's commissioner of police has ordered the case to be transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department. I mean, I think that we're looking at a case of mental health issue at this point. I mean, we've seen these types of story. But, I mean, apparently the woman had been upset because her husband married, another wife, and she just couldn't bear it. And she had threatened over, I believe, a period of few months, that she was going to kill her children and her husband as well. the nephew who was one of the people that confessed to the incident, said the same thing, that she was worried that the woman had, some mental health issues as well. So, I mean, I don't know. This is really a situation that we have to look into in Nigeria. I don't know what's going to happen to this woman. I don't know what type of, judgment she will be getting, Tundun.
Well, it sounds awful of me, but I'm going to say it. I hope she hangs. Infanticide is the worst thing. And look at how she killed them so savagely. Yeah. She hacked them with a machete. I really do hope she hangs. But having said that, I'm not the judge hearing her case. And there is a defense of insanity available for this kind of awful thing that she has done. If she's able to prove, well, it's in the penal code. There's a section 43. She's not going to be assumed to be insane. Even as heinous as this is, she has to prove that she had a mental health impediment. And Section 51 goes into what that requirement is. There's several subsections. You have to show either somebody administered something to you, maybe you were intoxicated or what have you, or in some other way you were not aware of the gravity of your actions, of the consequences of your actions due to some kind of mental impediment. She's going to have to prove that. I don't know how she'll do that. Maybe if she's been seeing a psychiatrist previously, that person can come forward with her medical records, but she has to prove that. Other than that, it's just murder. And she's probably going to get the death sentence for that.
Well, it's sad, it's unfortunate, it's scary, considering the fact that within the cultural environment in which she is, in Kano, I mean, from her name, she's a Muslim. And what we're told ordinarily is that, if you're a man and you're a Muslim, you are entitled to 4 wives, provided you can love them equally. Yes. So when you find this kind of thing, you are likely to jump to conclusion that this must be a case of insanity. But in literature, it is what we call the Medea complex. Medea, granddaughter of Helios, the Sun King, through his son, Etis. And that has been dramatized by Euripides, one of the 3 major Greek, playwrights in the 5th century BC. Now, what happened with Medea? She was a sorceress. She was married to Jason. She had 14 children for him. That's what the mythology says. But Jason now took a second wife, and she got angry, and she killed 2 of the sons. 2 of her sons committed filicide. She will later leave Jason and marry another man with whom she had 2 more kids. But, it's a mythology, as it were, 700 BC. But Euripides now wrote a play on it, Medea. So that's where the phrase, the Medea complex, comes from. So there's so much mystery in human nature, things we don't understand. Why would a woman commit filicide, kill her own sons? But I think that this is really a tragedy within that classical mode of the tradition from the classical Greece.
Well, she killed her son and her daughter, and I'm sorry, Medea was crazy. Jason never loved her. We'll get into that later. she had a problem.
Tell me about Greek literature.
We're going to get into that.
Well, we've seen these types of stories,
was a sorceress. She was
it
a
happens
sorceress.
all the time.
There's a lot of mythology.
She was
about
mad,
it.
like her sister Karaka that killed men and turned them into pigs. We'll discuss that.
Rufai, what's your take on the story? I'm
very sad. And you can say mental health, but I don't want to say mental health. Because if it was mental health, she should have displayed all this while. Should have done something all this while, But this is just a clear case of rage to me, because the husband took another wife.
But it didn't happen immediately.
It didn't happen immediately, but something necessitated it. Something made it happen. If the husband didn't take another wife, those children will still be alive today.
Right.
And that's why we should look at this critically. We should also look at the place of rage, in marriages and relationships, because it goes both ways. You're seeing the man's own today, but I hear about, if you remember the story that was making the rounds then a couple of years back about a female banker, that the husband just suspected she was cheating and he killed her. So we have many stories like that making the rounds.
But she won't be able to have that as a defense of provocation because there was a cooling period. She had time to plan.
Yeah.
It looks like murder to me.
When you look at it, it looks premeditated to me, and something has to be done as regards this. We can't build a society this way where everybody gets upset all of a sudden. They go the whole 9 yards. We all have every reason to be upset about something. People have hurt us. Girlfriends have left us. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you don't go out with a machete for crying out loud.
It's not the end of the world,
Yeah,
and it
so,
shouldn't be
like-
the end of the world. And the law should take its full course here. It should take its full course. Everything should be done to ensure this woman faced the full wrath of the law. Like I normally ask, only God knows what those children will have become.
I saw
and their
images,
lives
I saw
have
pictures
been
of the children.
their
So
lives have been
beautiful,
snuffed off them.
really.
It's very sad.
All right.
Crime of passion, revenge killing. But I think no
But it's
woman,
broadly
no woman
calculated, 'cause it took her time.
should go to that extent.
Exactly.
Yes.
And what did the children do?
Nothing.
Horrible.
Or you think you were going to
Completely
get back at the man by killing your own children?
Yes,
Are
it's going
you
to
okay?
have more.
Exactly, Tundun. All right, let's head over to the U.S. now. On Sunday, President Donald Trump released a video while at the Walter Reed Military Hospital. In the video, the president said he had been to school and had learned a lot about COVID-19. He paid tribute to health workers across the country and praised his supporters who have been camping outside the hospital over the last few days. Let's take a look.
Reports from the doctors. This is an incredible hospital, Walter Reed. The work they do is just absolutely amazing, and I want to thank them all, the nurses, the doctors, everybody here. I've also gotten to meet some of the soldiers and the first responders, and what a group. I also think we're going to pay a little surprise to some of the great patriots that we have out on the street, and they've been out there for a long time, and they've got Trump flags, and they love our country, so I'm not telling anybody but you, but I'm about to make a little surprise visit. So perhaps I'll get there before you get to see me. But I just, when I look at the enthusiasm, and we have enthusiasm like probably nobody's ever had. Our people that love the job we're doing, we have more enthusiasm than maybe anybody. So it's been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school. And I get it, and I understand it, and it's a very interesting thing, and I'm going to be letting you know about it. In the meantime, we love the USA, and we love what's happening. Thank you.
Well, following that video message, Trump briefly left the military hospital in an armored SUV to greet his supporters gathered outside. Trump remained in his vehicle as he drove past the flag-waving and cheering crowd outside the hospital. This has caused a tremendous outpouring of reactions on social media, with many describing his action as irresponsible. It's understood that the president has since returned back to the presidential suite of the Walter Reed Hospital. I mean, Tundu, I could not believe what I saw when I saw this guy. I mean, what is this showmanship about? What is he trying to prove?
Well, if you elect a reality TV host to be your president, this is what you get. This is what you get.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's completely irresponsible. I mean, look at the guy, if we could go close to it. The guy that's sitting right beside him. Scared. I mean, like, he looked like he was so scared for his life. I mean, I'm talking about this guy right in front there.
And Trump is only wearing a mask. He's not
Yes.
wearing anything else. And he's in a hermetically sealed vehicle. There's no ventilation. That is how doctors dress and frontline workers, and they end up contracting it. So it's possible that these gentlemen could have caught the disease. They better not go home to their family. They better go into isolation after this publicity stunt.
There has not been any reason. There has not been an excuse. Why did he have to go greet them in the press? Why did he have to leave the hospital?
He didn't have to. He chose to because he makes awful choices. And he claims that he has learned a lot about COVID-19. Not enough, apparently.
Not exactly.
I raised a question earlier,
Yes.
quoting Dr. James Phillips, one of his doctors, who said what he did was an act of insanity.
Complete.
Yes.
And the question to be raised is that, was he the one directing his doctors? Because even if you are president of the United States, once you check into a hospital, you become a patient.
Exactly.
You will follow, your doctor's directives. But it looks like characteristically, President Trump, even in the face of testing positive for COVID-19, is the one dictating to his doctors. And I don't know. I don't envy Sean Conley, the White House physician at this time. He must be having a very difficult time controlling a president who becomes a patient, but who at the same time would direct his doctors. I won't be surprised if he prescribed the drugs, the remdesivir and the dexamethasone that he has taken, But what is clear, of course, is that in terms of the social implication, now we have been reassured that COVID-19 is not a respecter of persons. It doesn't even respect President Trump, who says that, he has some kind of maybe divine immunity from COVID-19. Politically, we've seen how it is affecting the politics of the United States. I cited the example of Taiwan, the speaker, saying that you should get well quickly so that it can help them continue to fight China. We've seen the figures from the polls. Joe Biden now has a double-digit lead. I don't know. He can still cancel that because you can be sure if President Trump pulls through, he's going to come out and be the Superman and say, look, I've been able to beat COVID-19. Economically, the markets have also responded.
Yes.
And we've seen how, the presidential illness can affect the markets.
You see, I think this reminds me of, Trump reminds me a lot of P.T. Barnum. This is his greatest show ever. The fact that he had COVID.
Yes!
This is his greatest show, and this is what he thinks he'll use to pull through. But it's quite terrible, and there goes leadership.
Right.
There goes leadership.
Well,
It is very sad.
on that note,
Well, thank
we have
you guys.
to thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
that's
See
all
you
almost
tomorrow.
trending.